Okay, welcome to Skate Park Physics. This is an online program that we use to help run basically virtual experiments with physics, and it allows us to visualize the different types of energy involved in a skate park simulation or system. It looks at kinetic energy, your potential energy, and of course any wasted energy in the form of heat as well, if you put that in there. So you beware, it's slightly addictive when you get into this little online simulation. I'm going to show you how to set up the basic version of it, and if you get through the scenarios and answer the questions as you've been asked and stuff, then you'll have time at the end where you can actually play with what they call the play section of the game, where you basically make your own skate park scenarios and see whether or not your skateboarder can stay on the track or not. So this is what it looks like, and it's pretty simple. This is what it'll look like when you set up your screen. There's a few things I'm just going to name here for you so you know what they are. So let's start over this side. This is our little graph here, okay, and it will be on the screen, but it normally is quite condensed, like it's like that big, and it's got a little plus sign there, and you actually have to open it up if you want to see that graph. But you need to have that graph open so that you can view the amount of kinetic energy, the amount of potential energy, if there's any wasted energy, thermal, and the total amount of energy, whether it be kinetic or potential, in the system. Okay, so that's really important that you have that there. The next thing I'll tell you to do is to tick this button so you've got play visualized there. That's because if it automatically comes up as a pause sign to begin with, but as soon as you move your skater around, they just start moving before you're ready for them to move. So tick that so that it turns into a play sign there, and that way when you put your skater up at the top of the ramp, they won't actually start moving until you tick or click play. We have this little button here, which is a step it forward in slow-mo one. So instead of it playing, you actually have to click that and they will progressively step forward. Most of our simulations we have set to the normal speed here, but if you really want to, you can also tick slow and make them go really slow instead. And over the side here, we have some other things that we need to look at. So this is our variables and our visuals. So make sure that you tick speed. That's so that we have that little speed visualizer up there. Stick to the track helps. That stops your skater from falling off during your experiments. Friction is set to none for now. Gravity, leave it alone. Okay, that's right now that's set to Earth's gravity. Mass, we're putting it down here just on 5 kilos to begin with, but we will be playing with mass later on. Last but not least, you can choose different faces, and you can play with these little tools later on, but not straight away. We have a timer there, so you can actually time how long they're doing things in seconds. And this here is a measuring tape that you can move across your screen, so you can actually measure distances, whether it be height or width, and do basically experiments where you collect numerical data using that little measuring tape there. But no one but people who want to go ahead onto the extension lessons would actually be playing with that one there. So I'm just going to show you what this whole thing looks like. So when you click your link, it will sign into this PhET interactive simulations like that. And it'll come up with several different options. You click intro, okay? And here we've got our basic simulation. Nothing is turned on. The very first thing I'm going to be doing is playing with the mass. Now remember, we're going to be setting our mass to 5 kilos to begin with. We left the gravity and the friction alone. We ticked these little guys here. We've opened up our graph over here. And now I'm setting my skater up to the top. Now when I click play, there we go. Okay, and that's basically the basic setup that you want for your simulations, and then we're going to change variables after that. So I think I'm going to show you here what happens when you click those other keys. That's where you go to the step it forward button, and of course you've got your normal and your slow button, but I don't think we really need to go into them now. So I'm just going to end it there. And we're going to look at our very first setup. So this is how I want you to set up your page. Quite basic, exactly as I showed you there. Mass 5 kilo. Leave your friction and your gravity. Stick to the track, speed. Open up your graph. Make sure you've got it on play. Make sure you turn it on grid. I think I forgot to do that. That's handy for measuring heights and stuff. And then what you're going to be doing in our very first simulation is not changing anything, but simply looking at your kinetic energy, your potential energy, and the total amount of energy here. Okay, so that's what you're going to be looking at first to answer these questions. 1. Where was the skateboarder when potential energy is the greatest? 2. Where were they when kinetic energy was the greatest? And 3. Where were they when both potential and kinetic energy were the same amount? So you can answer those questions and any other ones in your Google Doc that relate to that basic simulation there. And you can pause the video now if you want and go and answer those questions, and then come back to the video, because the next part of the video is changing height and changing mass and seeing how that affects potential and kinetic energy.